Trump's legal team sent to special counsel Robert Mueller back in January. It was obtained by the New York Times. Let's bring in Bill Press, host of the Bill Press Show on Free Speech TV and author of the new book, From the Left, A Life in the Crossfire, and Republican strategist Lauren Zelt, managing director of FP1 Strategies. I got to tell you guys, I love that conversation with Lawrence Tribe. I should have studied harder so I could have gone to Harvard. Taking a class from that guy. Wow, he was interesting. Anyway, Lauren, how plausible is it that the president's people leaked this so they could use it to their advantage?
Well, I think it's certainly possible. We know that this White House is a White House that does a lot of leaking. So I think it's certainly possible. And moreover, I think that Republicans are really starting to understand that talking about this issue in particular on the campaign trail, I think even when Democrats do it, it helps Republicans as we head to the midterm elections. I think it helps motivate the base, just like the professor said. And I do think that it is possible because if Republicans want to keep the House, keep the Senate this fall, they're going to need turnout. And so I think that this discussion of impeachment and the investigation overall, I think it helps with turnout in terms of politics and getting the Republican base to show up at the polls.
So, Bill, part of this memo claims that the president could, if he wished, terminate the inquiry or even exercise his power to pardon if he so desired. Then you have Rudy Giuliani saying this morning that the president has no intention of pardoning himself. But how do you interpret all this?
Well, I didn't go to Harvard Law School either, Alex. you and I are together on that. And I'm not an attorney. But let me tell you, as an American, the one thing that I believe, I think all Americans believe, is that no person is above the law. I mean, that's fundamental to what this country is all about. That's why our founding fathers, they put that out there to get away from a king who could do anything the hell he wanted and get away with it. And this memo reeks of divine privilege. It says, in effect, that the president, he doesn't have to answer any questions. He can't be subpoenaed. He cannot be accused of obstructing justice. Basically, it says he can do no wrong. I'm sure that his team leaked it, but I think it is just ridiculous on the face of it and would never hold up in the Supreme Court. Never, never.
Do you think, Lauren, that this line sheds any light on the president's attention to pardoning people he believes were treated unfairly?
I think that the pardoning this week in particular, I know a lot of people were trying to say something like, well, you know, because of the timing of these particular pardons and the discussion of it, that he was laying the groundwork for something maybe possibly for himself regarding the Mueller investigation. I don't really think we should read that much into it, to be honest. I certainly don't think he should pardon himself. You saw a lot of GOP lawmakers out this weekend, Kevin McCarthy this morning, saying that he shouldn't do that. I think Chris Christie said that it would be a political problem. I think that it would absolutely be a political problem. And I think that, you know, like Bill said, I think as Americans, we can all agree that no American is above the law. And so, you know, I don't think he should pardon himself. I hope that Mr. Giuliani was being truthful when he said that he's not going to, because I think that would just be a really, really scary situation for us in our country.
Yeah, Alex, if I can, right, on that particular point, I keep coming back to what Congressman Trey Gowdy said. If the president really is innocent, if he really did nothing wrong, why do they all act so guilty? Why are they so afraid of having him testify? Why are they so afraid, you know, of facing Robert Mueller or having this investigation go on? It just, to me, it doesn't really add up. Just a quick word also on the pardons. I've got to say, look, there was no need to pardon at all Joe Arpaio. There was no need to pardon Scooter Libby. There certainly was no need to pardon Dinesh D'Souza, who was making lots of money as a commentator. These pardons were to send a message to his friends, Paul Manafort, whoever, Jared Kushner, maybe Michael Flynn. Don't worry, I've got the pardon power. I will use it to take care of my buddies.
Okay, so Giuliani gave an update on the legal team's thinking on whether the president should agree to an interview by Robert Mueller. Let's take a listen to this.
I don't think anybody doubts he wants to do it. He believes he's telling the truth. He is telling the truth. He believes that justice should win out. I'm a lawyer. I have years of prosecution and defense. It's not that simple. I mean, what I believe is the truth, you may think isn't.
So you're still recommending he does not sit down for the interview?
Jay and I want to keep an open mind, and I have to just be honest, I mean, with leaning toward not.
How do you both interpret that? Lauren, you first.
Well, I think it's interesting. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the fact that they were preparing, that they were doing mock interviews, and now all of a sudden they're leaning towards no. I think that he should do the interview. I love that Bill and I are having a nice bipartisan conversation here today. I also agree with what Trey Gowdy said. You know, they are acting a little bit as if there may be something to hide. And if there's nothing to hide, do the interview, get it over with, and let's move on for the sake of the American people.
You agree, Bill?
Well, not to agree with Lauren on too many things here, but I do have to say this. The idea, okay, let's come back to why does Rudy Giuliani and Jay Sekulow not want the president to sit down with Robert Mueller? Because they don't believe he can get through the interview without perjuring himself. That's it. Plain and simple. He tells so many untruths, so many lies in 5 minutes that he couldn't get through in 1 hour or a 2-hour interview. And everybody on this team recommends that he not do that interview.
Can I ask you guys one more question quickly before we are out of time? All this is happening while the president's been at Camp David with most of the family, however, not Melania. How long can the First Lady remain out of the public spotlight, Lauren? I mean, it's concerning for a lot of people.
Well, I look at it from a sheer political lens. Polling last month showed that Melania Trump is actually quite popular. I believe she's at 57% approval ratings. So politically, especially as we head into the midterms, I'd like to see more of her. Many spouses of candidates are a political advantage, and she certainly is in this case. So I'd like to see more of her.
How about you, Bill, quickly?
Let me just say very quickly, it's just unusual. I hope she's well. I think she's well. I've been told by a very good source she's at the White House. She's fine. But it is unusual for a First Lady not to be seen in 23 days now. There was a sports event for kids at the White House. That's her deal. She wasn't there. Camp David, all the rest of the family is there without her. Again, I hope she's well. I'd like to see more of her, too.
Well,
it's strange.
That is something that we can all very much agree on. We do hope that her health is okay and that she's well and that she comes back in the spotlight sometime soon. Lauren and Bill, good to see you both. You guys, happy Sunday to you both. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Demand for answers.